Hello, good morning, Love Wrestling. It is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025, and we are here. You see, well, first of all, hold on, wait a minute. Where the heck? There we go.
Oh.
I was like, where are our names? Anyway.
Yes. I forgot about that.
Drew is here.
That name.
I am here.
That's a different gimmick.
Which means it's Tuesday. We are here for another Firmly WWE today, and it is a big Firmly WWE today, as last night was the gigantic WWE RAW on Netflix debut. However, there were big things that happened on SmackDown last Friday night we need to talk about too. We have new women's champions on both shows, Drew, that we have to get into. There's a lot of things that happened.
Yes.
Obviously, the focus was on last night and the big debut of Netflix. Obviously, felt like a WrestleMania, leaning into it. Even Triple H at the press conference afterwards very much leaned into the fact that, like, hey, you know, tonight was what it was. Like, it was a spectacle. It almost felt like it was a different thing. But first and foremost, before we start diving into like the shows, because we got a lot to talk about. It was a big Raw.
We're just going to get right into it.
Yeah, which we need to. What was the thing that stuck out to you? Obviously, it's different for all of us now. Netflix is a different animal. Raw's on Netflix. It still feels weird. I had a couple of my friends messaging me during the show being like, oh, Raw's on Netflix now? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, that's weird. And I'm like, you know, they're bigger than ever. It is what it is. We got Sandy in the chat saying it felt like a movie.
Yeah,
we got Scott
Daramazing. That's a very good take, actually.
It felt
this very much.
It had that vibe. It had that vibe, and I think the Netflix. I don't know about you, but my stream was perfect.
Oh yeah,
crisp. Me too. It looked like $1 million.
Yep. Yeah.
Obviously, that arena that they were in last night is built for.
Oh wow.
It's built for that type of stuff. So obviously, as they continue to travel along like they do, next week is not going to – there's going to be certain aspects of that show we saw last night that we're not going to see next week because that not every arena has that board at the top of the arena. Not every arena has seats that light up, you know, and things like that. So, like, obviously – yeah, Nathan, we're going to get into that because I'm going to be honest with you. I think the overwhelming response I saw on social media was that Raw was fun last night, and that was a big moment, and everybody liked it for the most part. We'll get there, Pluggo. We'll get there. I was not as down on Raw as some people were down on Raw. But the one thing that I didn't like is what Nathan mentioned and what happened at the beginning of the show. Not that I didn't like it. I thought it was a good promo, but
it was a little confusing.
Well, it's one of those things like, so was he wasn't the final boss there all last night. He was just Dwayne. That was TKO because he came out, he's talking about, you know, family history. He's talking about Netflix, all that stuff, which I'm cool with. Well, first of all, the show opens they have the cold open that they showed earlier in the day, which I
saw before the show, which was
I actually didn't. So me watching it on Raw was the first time that I watched it. Excellent. Obviously goes through the history of WWE. It's just a very well done cold open. then, we saw the pictures all day, and how Raw opened was there was a curtain covering the ring, and they showed the cold open on the curtain. And then the curtain dropped with pyro, and Triple H was standing in the middle of the ring, and you could feel it immediately. I was just like, oh boy, all right. Like, you could feel it. Yeah, exactly, Scott. Yeah, if they had a decent basketball team, that arena would be worth it. But then Triple H does the normal, like, hey, this is a new era. Like, are you ready? He does his little thing, and that's how the show opens, which was a good little opening. Triple H being in the ring was awesome. That must have felt great for him. That cold open was beautiful. I love the cold open, Drew. And then we had The Rock. And The Rock comes out. He has his people's champion's belt or whatever. He does his thing where he takes a long time getting into the ring. He gives the belt to his daughters who are sitting at ringside. And then he starts talking about stuff that, stuff we've heard him talk about before, Drew. But, he talks about traveling with his dad when he was a kid. And he said back then, the only way to watch WWE was you had to either buy a ticket or you had to watch on Saturday morning. He's like, but now it's a totally different story. And we're on Netflix, and we're worldwide for the first time ever, broadcasting to the whole world simultaneously. He says that it's a new arena gate record for WWE. So that was a big deal. And then
congratulations, everybody who paid overpriced tickets.
Yeah. Every week they have a new gate because everywhere.
Cheering that you paid $1,000 for a seat is quite something.
But in LA, that's what you're gonna do. That's what people in LA are there for. That's how they live out there. So
not just LA.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Plus the arena is brand spanking new. That's like the most high tech. That was specifically built to have all those tech like things in it for the games, and it's a wild arena. That's Steve Ballmer. Yeah, so then The Rock gives us The Rock has come back to LA. And he's just he's not in character. He's just talking about, WWE and the arrangement with Netflix. He shouts out some executives. He mentions a Squid Game reference.
Yeah. He said bullshit, I believe.
Yeah, he said bullshit, which was kind of the first kind of swear.
Well, the first real swear was him saying,
"Watch out."
I think he said, "Let's."
It's 8 minutes.
Said, Let's fucking
Watch out. Watch out, Drew. Come on. Jeez.
Whatever.
I was warning you for 30 seconds, damn it. Listen. Come on. Now we're not going to get paid for today. Anyway.
Well, we weren't going to get paid anyway.
Yeah, I know, but you pretend. You pretend you get paid.
Now, if you want us to get paid, please send them.
Yeah, send some super chats so we can, because I've only been doing this for 4 years. So
I messed us up for today. I apologize.
Yeah. We need a super chat to make up for that now. So, but anyway.
Give us like 3 or 4,
Yeah.
Help support us because we love you guys. Thank you very much.
So then this is the part of the Dwayne stuff that I think kind of got confusing for not confusing, but I think I was doing a watch along with Peggy, and me and Peggy were like, what are we doing? He puts over Cody Rhodes. So like, again, I have no problem. With him putting over Cody Rhodes. But at the end of the day, the last time we saw Drew, oh, look at Sandy coming in. Sandy coming in hot. Paying for it.
Throw up the one for him.
That is true.
You're a great man. Thank you.
Did it not go? Why isn't it going live on Twitter? It went live on YouTube, but I just went live on Twitter, so we're a little delayed. But I don't know why it didn't go live on both there. It only went live on the YouTube, not the Twitter. But we're live on Twitter now. I don't know what that delay was about. That usually just does that automatically. God bless. Anyway, yeah, so then The Rock says, I got to talk about somebody who I've spilled blood with all over the country, which that didn't make sense to me. And he said he's ready to do it again. He said the man's carried the company on his back for a year. He's doing an amazing job. And he thanks Cody Rhodes. And then they show Cody, who's in the crowd at this point. And then The Rock kind of leans in and he goes, hey, by the way, he goes, Tell Mama Rhodes I said hello. So that was kind of like a
time he was in like Final Boss.
Yeah, that was like kind of a little thing. And then after that, he acknowledges Roman Reigns. He calls him the tribal chief. He says he's the original tribal chief. And he talks about how tribal combat, and he's going to be watching. And then he talks about how he's a high chief of Samoa, and he carries that title with pride, respect, and the warrior spirit. Kind of goes into his family, you know. And then that's it. And then he does it. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, and then he kind of walks around ringside. Him and Cody embrace at ringside. They do like a handshake hug thing. There was a video that came out on the social webs later on that showed The Rock and Cody sharing a beverage, like a toast in the back, and hugging each other. Again. Now, there's more to The Rock because this went right into Tribal Combat with Roman Reigns and Solo.
Yeah.
And they had their match, which I thought was a very good match, by the way. I very much enjoyed this match, this Tribal Combat match. Obviously, not a lot of chaos ensued, but not really, you know, the Tribal Combats we've seen going into this, there was a lot of pomp and circumstance. I felt like there were way less here. Obviously, the Bloodline got involved. The part in the match that I actually liked the most from an outsider standpoint was when Kevin Owens got in there.
Yeah, that was unexpected.
I loved that Kevin Owens got in there and stunned Roman because he's like, nah, F you, dude. You're the whole reason I'm like this is you. So I love that. Obviously, that brought Cody out. They brawled and kind of left. We saw the Bloodlines come out. Jimmy, not Jay, because he was in another match, but Jimmy and Sammy for Roman and Jacob and Tama Tonga for Solo. Like Sandy said, though, a lot of kickouts. There were a lot of kickouts throughout this whole show, to be honest with you. Which was kind of the vibe of how it felt like. This felt like it wasn't.
I didn't hate this match at all.
I loved it. I thought
this match reminded me of WrestleMania 40 main event.
100%. Really. Well, Sandy's saying that the Samoan spike not being protected with the Roman kick out. Yeah, but it's Roman. I don't.
If there was anybody else, I would complain.
Exactly. I would have been upset if that was, Sami Zayn, even though I love Sami. I would have been upset if that was Sami Zayn kicking out of a Samoan spike. When it's Roman, there are no rules. So, yeah, I mean, Drew, I thought, this match did not start. The bell did not ring for this match until 8:33. So we were already a half hour or so in before we got this first match. But I thought for a first match of the night, I really enjoyed this Tribal Combat match. I thought it was really good. I thought it was one of Solo's best performances. I thought he was excellent in this match. Obviously, everything was, but I thought Solo was really good in this match. And at the end,
I think my favorite performance of his.
Yeah, it's very good.
I think this is my favorite performance of his.
Yeah. He was so good. Couple referee spots, all that stuff. And we had Roman Reigns winning by pinfall with the spear and becoming the undisputed tribal chief. And Paul Heyman, which I thought when Heyman was getting in the ring after Rome, like towards the end there, I thought Heyman was given a little bit too much of a side eye. He did it to perfection. Like it was on purpose, clearly, because he had all of us thinking a certain way. But weren't we all thinking at one point that he was going to turn and go with Solo because of the way he was looking and shit? Right?
And then The Rock comes out.
Yes.
And I'm like, wait a minute.
Heyman's going with The Rock. I'm like, Heyman's turning, which still could happen down the line for sure. But like, I thought I was like, oh, look at the way Heyman's like looking like he doesn't know. I thought The Rock, 100% Sandy. So
I thought what was going to happen was when he told Paul to give him the Ulafala, I was like, okay, so he's going to put it on Roman.
Oh, I thought he might have put it on himself.
Well, I didn't think he was going to put it on himself. I was just like, oh, he's going to put it on Roman, and then he's going to give him
a rock bottom. Yeah, that's what I'm right with you, Drew. I thought 100%.
Because then they go in for a hug, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. He can get his arm under there.
Yes.
And
yes. We literally saw him come out and not in the final boss character, putting over Cody, putting over Roman with words and like things like that. And then he comes out again after this match. And when he comes out again, he's doing kind of the final boss walk, right? Like he's definitely not moving the same way that he was moving for the first show, like the opening show promo. It seemed like, okay, this is the character Rock. We're going to get this right now before he leaves. And I thought the same thing.
Music though.
No. Yeah, well they did not when he came out the second time.
Not when he came out after the match.
Yeah. Yeah. Dan, I don't think you're wrong. And and that's what it was. And I think we're going to get into this dialogue because I do think, don't get me wrong, I saw the reports after, and we'll talk about things that were supposed to be on the show. They got moved and stuff like that. I understand and respect everybody's feelings towards that, but I'm with Dan. I'm with Dan on that comment. I think that last night was the first Raw on Netflix. That night, that show was to get star power, legends, familiar faces for the viewers on that show to be like, wow, that was a spectacle of a show I'm going to watch next week. And then the goal is next week when you start doing, like Triple H said at the press conference, when we start getting into our more normal episodic television shows, that is when you hope that some of those new eyes that you got last night from how you had that show go, they stick around and they go, okay, I'm in on here. And I think a lot of people went in to last night like we knew it was going to be a big show, but I think a lot of people were expecting like not what we.
See, now here's my issue with Zach's comment right there. This is what the both of us are on opposite ends of this conversation. Though I'm not like railing against it, saying, "Oh, this was the worst decision," no. It doesn't always just have to be for the casuals, though.
No, but last night needed to be.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did. You have so many brand new eyes on your product last night just because it's on Netflix.
And you want to showcase what you're doing with everybody on the roster, not just high-level people that are involved with The Rock,
but it's
just John Cena. Or just the celebrities that are showing in the crowd that they're never going to show again.
But for a debut, that's where I disagree. Because they can showcase everybody on the roster that they have next week. And the goal is to get people to come back next week.
Like, but that's all. See now I got into a conversation with somebody before the show on Twitter, very similar to literally what you just said. Like, but that's their job every week. Why is that an excuse?
But it's not an excuse because they're on a new platform with new people. It's different.
Right.
It's
and
a
they're
different
always
thing
going to be on this platform
from now on. So last night, having that show the way that it was, which was basically a PLE, it was not a regular episode of Raw.
If you went into a PLE either, by the way. It was
Triple H compared it to it at the press conference.
1 match an hour for the first 2 hours.
I get it, but that's how Triple H described it he said tonight was a one-off WrestleMania type vibe feel. Next week, we're going to be getting back to our more episodic, what we normally do. If you went into last night thinking it was going to be a regular episode of Raw, you were already creating
if
this for
anybody
yourself.
Thought it was going to be a regular episode of Raw, then
you know what I mean?
Say, come on.
You were already, we've seen this before. We saw Raw 100. We saw Raw 30. We saw the 25th anniversary of Raw. It's always this shit. It's always the legends. It's always this. This was no different. I don't know why anybody went into last night thinking it was going to be different than every other anniversary episode of Raw, big episode, where guess what? Who do they bring out in Raw 100? They don't focus on the current stories. They bring back DX and they bring back Undertaker and they bring back The Rock and Stone. That's what last night was. That's what last night was. The 25th anniversary is probably a bad example, Dan. That show sucked. But they do that all the time. So I don't know why. And we're going to get into it because I want to talk about the stuff that was released after that said there were things that were planned that were moved and, whatever. But like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of fans, I feel like we live in a world now where people go into big things, whether it's an event, a movie, a TV show, and instead of just kind of being like, oh man, I'm really, really jacked up for tonight. Tonight's going to be good. We almost have a mentality of what's going to piss me off tonight. And I feel like a lot of people have that mentality.
People should not be like that.
Well, there were a lot of people that were pissed off over really minuscule shit from last night that, guess what? Minuscule. I think it is. Becky Lynch is going to debut next week, and it's still going to be awesome. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter in the scheme of it. It's not going to matter. Penta is going to debut next week.
People who were watching tonight are not going to watch continuously. The casual.
But that is an argument. I will give you that. There are some people that watch tonight that are gonna. Well, and Sinner, we're going to get there because I feel like the Los Angeles crowd did us all. They were speaking for all of us last night in a certain segment, which we'll get to. Again, like I do agree. There are a lot of fans, not a lot, but there are a section of fans that watched that show last night that probably will not watch regularly weekly. However, I understand the notion from a company standpoint of them going, okay, if we do have new eyes here, who's going to get them to tune in again next week? Is it going to be Roman Reigns? Is it going to be The Rock? Is it going to be these legends that they know that were the biggest stars for the last 30 years? Or is it going to be Penta? And I love Penta. And we're going to talk about Penta. But you know what I mean? And I also feel like with everything else that was happening
we're teetering on a thing that I'm just not a fan of,
which is fine. And you're allowed to not be a fan of it. You are allowed to not be a fan of it.
But it's got to be about what the company first over what
it's all. But that's always been the motto. That's always been the motto. It's the company over.
Yes, but but we as wrestling fans should not be attaching ourselves to that motto when we have no stake in the company.
I agree, and I'm not attaching it. I just understand why they did it that way. I'm not butthurt or upset that they did it that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I'm
not either, we're not, honestly.
Yeah. Like Dan says, he goes, if someone who didn't watch last night with The Rock and Cena on, they're not going to watch because Penta debuted, but they may start watching because they saw John Cena and The Rock.
Yeah. And once they see that The Rock and The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan and John Cena, for the most part, are not there every week, then they're going to stop watching. So
unless
they're watching,
but that's the point. But what you just said is the point. You said it delays it. Okay. Rock and Cena bought them that extra eye who might not have watched them at all to tune in next week. So guess what? Next week, it's Triple H and WWE's job to give them a real episode of Raw that makes their ass stay on that channel. That's the job.
Well, see, the thing now, we're not going to get ratings or anything, which I don't get.
No, yeah, and exactly, yeah. Thank God we don't have to talk about that. Hopefully, ever again with Max and AEW, and now this. Like, can we just stop? I know people will because people are, but like, the fact that we don't have to talk about rate. I mean, we never really did here anyway because ratings don't matter to us. We view it of like just what we enjoy, like normal people. But like, the fact that like now things are on streaming and we like don't have to have ratings discourse as much. Thank God, because who gives a shit? But I think you kind of nailed it right there when you said like, oh, okay, so when they tune in next week and they don't see The Rock and Cena or Undertaker, but the fact is Rock, Cena, and The Undertaker got them to tune in next week. Whereas if those guys weren't on the TV, not everybody's
so
a diehard like us.
For 2 shows instead of just 1 show.
But if
what's the big deal?
But if they do their job, and they give us good stories and good matches. If somebody watched last night and they said, "Oh shit, that was a wild episode of Raw," I'm going to give it a chance next week. And then next week they tune in and the first match, the first hour of Raw with the regular whatever is great stories, great wrestling, juicy shit. That person's going to stay because they're going to be entertained. So them getting the eyes to go to the second week is exactly why they did last night, why they did it. Because without those guys on the screen, those people aren't making it to week 2.
You might be misunderstanding me. I'm not saying that the legends shouldn't have been there.
Oh, I know.
And if anybody thinks that that's what I'm saying, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, one of them shouldn't have been there, but he was reminded by the arena that he
shouldn't have been there. But the crowd made it known. But I'm saying that just throw in that extra thing. Like, you can do all these other things, but just throw in that extra thing too. Because if they were the show, according to reports from reputable people that came out earlier yesterday, they were slated to go 3.5 hours.
They were. I did hear that a lot, and they only went to 11. A couple minutes after, they ran a small over 11.
Now, my thing is, you're already making this a big spectacle and a major show more than what a typical Raw is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Go an extra 20 minutes. Who gives a shit?
Look, I'm not gonna fight you on that one. Like, yeah,
I hate the 3-hour SmackDown bullshit and all that stuff.
That came out that's only semi-permanent, I guess, and they're going, but still June. It's going to be half the year. But like, that's so bizarre to me. That's a whole other topic. But like, you go to 3 hours, but then you announce that in like 4 or 5 months you're going back to 2 hours. Well, what the hell's the point? It has to be contractual stuff with USA, right? For a third hour, like, that has to be. They have to have signed a contract with USA for 3 hours of television through, right? That's the only way that makes sense. That is so bizarre how you would go to 3 hours only to bring it back to 2 hours in 4 months.
But even then, June didn't end a contract or start a new contract.
It's so weird.
It doesn't make sense. But anyway, and see, now this is the other thing too that I thought of this morning. That building that they were in was special.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine? And now I'm not saying that Penta should have debuted last night. I really would have rather had the women's IC title match last night. Imagine.
I think it gets lost in the shuffle.
I don't think so. I think it adds to it enhances the new, establishing the brand new Women's Intercontinental Championship in a match on a debut show with all these eyes in the presentation type of a way that they could utilize with the tech of that building, which they did on multiple occasions last night. Stunning.
Yeah. Look, the presentation was A++. I mean, that of anything, we're going to critique some stuff that we like. Yeah. Like, the presentation was A++ last night. Here's where I'll be a little bit of a devil's advocate right there. I would have loved if the women's IC finals match was on that show last night. They only had 4 matches in 3 hours. I get it. I feel like if you would have had that match in the moment, you would have felt that way. But when they look back and they talk about the Raw debut on Netflix, it's like the 6th or 7th thing that would have been talked about. It would have been way buried down here over Tribal Combat, Punk and Rollins, the Hogan situation, The Rock, Undertaker and Rhea, and then they would have talked about it, So I feel like it would have been so far down on the totem pole of things that happened last night that it just would have ended up being a blip.
Well,
whereas now next week it could be a main event, or it can open the show, and it should open the show. It should open the show. And if that opens the show, I feel like that is yes, it's not on the debut, which is a huge thing. That gives it its own thing. Whereas I feel like if it would have happened last night, it would have been cool. I would have loved it. Hopefully Dakota wins, but I would have loved it But at the same time, when we look, it just would have been the 5th, 6th, or 7th thing we're talking about. And it wouldn't have gotten the shine.
I just want to let you know, because I was going to tell you this before we started, but there could be a chance that I just disappear because my power might go out.
Oh, God, why? It's windy. Yeah, it's windy here, too. It's ridiculous. The house has been shaking all morning. Yeah.
It's just like all of us, I just like, what the hell?
Yeah, Mike, I'm going to delete your comment. We warned you last week. Don't be a dick. Otherwise, you can leave. Hogan got booed because he's a piece of shit.
What happened?
Nah, he just made a stupid-ass comment. So I'm telling him for the 2nd week in a row to stop making stupid-ass comments or go somewhere else.
I didn't even see a comment.
It was just a dumb comment. So I deleted it. We don't need to watch it. I'm warning him now. So Hogan got booed because he's a racist piece of shit. It had nothing to do that LA is Democratic, you fucking loser. So leave if you don't want to be here. That was Lou telling you to leave too. So that's what we're doing. We're not doing that crap. So I'm telling you right now, either you be a normal person in the comments or get the fuck out of my show. Don't care about your viewership. I'll make it up. Fuck off with that. Anyway, Drew, I apologize. Exactly, Sinner. People are coming out. People are coming out saying, oh, they booed Hogan because of the Trump stuff. I'm pretty sure Undertaker likes Trump too. He didn't get booed last night, did he? So shut the fuck up. You're
Undertaker had an interview with Trump on his podcast.
Literally. Like I do not have time.
The opening was at Mar-a-Lago for New Year's.
Yeah. I do not have time. I do not have time for that. It had nothing to do with Trump. Undertaker's a Trump guy. Undertaker got cheered out of the fucking arena last night. And I was pumped for The Undertaker when I saw him last night. And I'm as anti-Trump as it comes. That had nothing to do with it. That had nothing to do with it. It had to do with Hulk Hogan on tape is a racist fuck. And he doesn't need to be around anymore because he is useless in 2025. Wow. So shut the fuck up about it. Okay.
Wow.
Sorry.
I think that's it for the year. Thanks, everybody.
I'm tired of it.
That was incredible.
The guy is on tape dropping N-bombs and racial remarks twice. 2 separate occasions. Why is he on my TV screen? Why? He has nothing to do with the current product. The people that bought tickets from the boom of 2022 don't give one fuck about Hulk Hogan. And it was proven last night. Go away forever. That's it. That's it. I don't need to see you anymore. Period. And then you got assholes like Mike walking in the chat saying, oh, it's because of blah, 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 blah. No, it's not. It's because he's a racist piece of shit and we don't want him around anymore. So use your fucking rhetoric somewhere else. JD from New York will be live later. Go fucking talk to him. I don't got time for it. Fuck off. Anyway. Let's get back to Raw, shall we? I don't think he's here anymore. Piece of shit. I'm going to ban him next time I see him make a comment anyway. So.
See, now I would yell like that, but I would get a lot of noise complaints.
I think I'm in a small room, so like the echo comes with the yelling, so it's like more than, you know? Anyway, clip that and send that out. That might actually get me famous. Anyway, so it's just I don't have time for it. Whether you're being a smart ass or not, I don't have time for it. The people that are using that as a driving thing for political bullshit, you can fuck off. You can fuck right off. Because guess what? There were plenty of other people on that show last night that we saw that probably voted for that guy too. And they didn't get fucking booed. You know why? Because they're not terrible people. Hogan got booed because he's a terrible person. Stop trying to equate it to something else to fill your rhetoric because you're insecure because you voted for a fucking rapist. Stop it. Anyway, let's get back to Raw, shall we? So, you know, I try. Drew, I try.
You know, listen, like I said, sometimes I have to speak more because, you know, I have to respect the people around me in my apartment building. But there are times where I definitely want to go off like that.
I don't care, man. I literally don't care.
I just lived vicariously through you.
It's just, what are we doing, guys? It's fucking pro wrestling. Like, give me a break. Give me a break. We are talking about pro wrestling on the fucking internet. It is not that fucking serious at all. And the way people talk to each other on social media, the way people overreact to fucking bullshit, it is pro wrestling. The Undertaker was a zombie for 25 years. Why are we taking this seriously at all? Nonsense. Anyway, so Roman wins the Ula Fala back. That happened. That was a good time. Roman leaves. They showed an online thing of The Rock backstage hugging Roman. Last time I checked, when we saw The Rock, he walked out to Roman and Cody and gave him the both. Hey, fuck you both. But now he's hugging them both. I don't know what the hell's going on. Am I supposed to just forget what happened the whole year last year with The Rock there? Are we just supposed to forget about it, Drew? I feel like that's where most people were confused. Like, what is this Dwayne or is this like what is happening here? Because it clearly had nothing to do with the story that we saw that we assume is continuing at some point.
In that cold open thing and a part of Triple H's promo.
Yeah.
They're kind of like really leaning in on this not being real. And it's like, oh, okay, that's an interesting.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
We all know
they said they use the terms, right? They use the terms like. Are you talking about the open where they use the terms like shoot, Kate?
Oh,
yeah, and people were up in arms about that too.
Like that, I personally don't give a shit about.
I just don't care.
It's interesting because I'm not an old head, you know, I'm not a Cornette or a Bischoff or any of those types of people who like are just cling to what it used to be like, and you have to respect kayfabe and all that stuff. I'm not like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like logic, and I do like some continuity within my storylines that I enjoy watching, and they just like dropped Cody and Rock. I mean, that's unless they just decide, and I mean, they could end up deciding, hey, we're just going to pick this back up again in 6 months or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. If anything, I would get the vibe that because of last night, The Rock maybe is not going to be there at Mania.
That was my vibe too. Yeah,
because I feel like if they knew that he was going to be at Mania, how do you not use last night? Yeah. How do you not use last night as a vehicle to start the story to Mania? So the fact that he came out and was not in character, dapping it up with guys who we expect to be his next two opponents, for crying out loud. He's dapping it up with them, stuff like that. That to me tells me that they either are just playing us like a fiddle, or they still are very much unsure and they don't think he's going to be there for Mania.
Well, in that video, when they were in the back together, Cody and Rock.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, he said either like I come in peace or.
Yeah. He said something like that. Yeah.
He said
go,
like, okay. So
yeah.
Does that mean that there's not gonna be peace at some point, or or was that just like a jokey
you have
thing?
To think.
Last time they were in the ring together, they were fighting each other.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, and The Rock also announced that he will be at NXT tonight as well. So they're doing NXT in LA tonight. It's the New Year's Evil, and The Rock in the social media thing said that he's showing up tonight too. So he's going to be there for the NXT crowd, which is pretty cool for them. So I don't know if they'll do anything. I assume I think him and Trick Williams could have a fun segment together if they decide to do that. Yeah, I don't know. We then move forward. We came back from commercial and we got another teaser for Penta, and this one said his name. It did the outline of the mask, and it said Penta across it. So, they're not, it's there now. We then got a hype reel for the 2026 Royal Rumble in Saudi. Gross. Rock and Ethan Page, I would be all for, Dan. I think Ethan Page could very much hang with The Rock in the ring on the mic if they wanted to do something like that tonight. That would be a lot of fun.
Somebody kind of being a thorn and
Eddie Thorpe. So tonight there's 2 world championship matches, and on the men's side it's a triple threat. It's Obafemi versus Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams. And Eddie Thorpe has been a thorn in the side of Michaels and Ava. And at one point they did an angle where Eddie Thorpe didn't put his hands on Ava, but they made it look like he knocked her over or something like that. And that was like a big point of contention in this story. So I assume The Rock will do something with Eddie Thorpe, basically, because he's been a thorn in his daughter's side for a while. But speaking of that, I know we don't talk about NXT here. I think Eddie Thorpe is leaving tonight as the world champion. I know everybody's saying it's Obafemi right away. Yeah, that's true. I know everyone is saying it's Obafemi right away, but I think the fact that they made it a triple threat match tells me that I think Eddie Thorpe is going to find a shitty way to win that championship because he has major heat with the NXT crowd. And then I think you build to Obafemi versus Eddie Thorpe one-on-one because they're positioning Obafemi to be a big-time babyface. And I feel like if Eddie Thorpe wins the title very shittily, if that's a word, I don't know if it is, but I use it a lot, shittily. If he wins the title shittily, then you got this heel champion that nobody wants to be the champion, and then Obafemi is like the hero. You got to get this belt away from this guy. And then, I think Trick's going to be in the Rumble and being called up to the main roster soon, I would think. Because he's over as hell. I think that's the way they do it. I think that Eddie Thorpe weasels his way into a championship victory tonight, and then you build to Obafemi being the hero, winning the belt one-on-one at the Mania takeover or whatever the next whatever is. Anyway, but we get a hype reel for the 2026 Rumble in Saudi. Garbage. But whatever. Then we see they start showing some various celebrities in the crowd. This first time go around, we see Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias. He has a comedy special coming out today on Netflix, so they were hyping that up. We saw Ashton Kutcher, Michael Che, Wale. We saw LA Knight, Rey Mysterio. They showed the War Raiders. You are not too optimistic, Tom. I liked Raw too. I thought there were parts that could have been better, but I thought overall, it was a rousing success. And then, Drew, it was time for the final tour, the final farewell tour. The last time is now officially kicked off we're going to talk about that. He had the biggest pop of the night, bro. He had one of the biggest pops of the night, Macaulay Culkin. Hell yeah, dude.
Topanga.
No, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
How dare you disrespect Eric Matthews like that? Will Friedel deserved better, WWE. What the hell? Don't get me wrong. I love Topanga. Tom, there's negative takes online about everything every day. You want to see one? Rewind about 25 minutes, and not even 15 minutes from about this moment, and see what I had to say. But anyway, let me see. I did see that segment, Dan, with Topanga and Eric with the New Day. Hilarious. The disrespect that was shown to Eric Matthews last night. I know his name is Will Friedel, but he's Eric Matthews, goddammit. And he's one of the best characters on that show. That show is a tremendous, one of the best shows of all time. Boy Meets World. Terrific. And Eric Matthews arguably is the best character on that show. Now, I understand, Topanga. love Topanga. Who doesn't? For the majority of us, she was probably one of our first crushes. Probably. For the majority of male wrestling fans, I would guess. Okay? Topanga. Underrated, exactly, Hoosier. Extremely underrated. And they gave her, Danielle Fishel, they gave her the nameplate, as they should. And then you got Eric Matthews, Will Friedle, sitting there. And they didn't even mention his name. Not even not getting the nameplate. Commentary did not even mention his name, Drew. Disrespect. Anyway.
Personally, I was a Matthew Lawrence type of a guy.
Hey,
but,
listen. Hey, handsome fella. Handsome fella. What was his name? Jack? Right? That was his name on Boy Meets World? Jack?
Yes. Yeah.
Eric, yeah. Anyway. John Cena comes
Hunter.
out. Sean Hunter. Jack Hunter.
Jack.
Yeah, he was Sean's brother. Right?
He was his
Sean's
brother. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That was when they were like were they in college at that point? They were all living, and Angela was there. She was dating Sean. It was Topanga and Corey, Angela and Sean. Jack was there. There was another girl, like a redhead. She wore a lot of leather jackets. Like a punk girl that was kind of there. She was dating Jack.
That was that was the college season.
Yeah, the college years, because she was with Jack, and then Eric Matthews was always half single. Didn't know what was going on there. Anyway, that's the Boy Meets World minute here on Firmly WWE.
By the way, also very funny that Golden Globe winner and brother of Macaulay Culkin was also in the crowd.
Also shunned.
Just like, no.
Okay, Macaulay Culkin, dude, that pop from Macaulay Culkin was arguably the biggest pop of the night. And he deserved it, because guess what? Home Alone, dude. Home Alone, it is what it is, all right? Like, that is legend. It's not just Home Alone, but, like, that's what, come on, you know? And it's like, yeah, Vader was on Boy Meets World. Mankind was on Boy Meets World. How are you not showing Eric? But yeah, so you have Macaulay Culkin there. He gets this big pop. And then you have Kieran Culkin, who is a part of one of the greatest television shows in the history of time, Succession. Golden Globe winner.
Oh, he's
Emmy winner.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, he's one of the stars. Yeah, he's in the family. He's amazing. I love Uncle Buck Sunday Center. I'm with you there. Uncle Buck is terrific. I don't know if it's better than Home Alone, but Uncle Buck is terrific.
I wouldn't say better than Home Alone, but I'll say it's like
Uncle Buck is terrific.
Number 2, definitely.
He put onions in the eggs. And he slaps his head, Macaulay Culkin. Put onions in the eggs. Oh, but I think when you think of Macaulay Culkin, you think of Home Alone. And I said this last night with Peggy. I said, it doesn't have to be your favorite movie of all time, but I have not met a soul in my life that has ever said a negative thing about Home Alone. That's like one of those movies where I feel like I have never met anybody. It might not be their favorite Christmas movie or just their favorite movie in general, but I've never met a soul who didn't like Home Alone. I feel like it's one of the most, how do I say this?
There's somebody that we know that doesn't like Home Alone. I don't remember who it is. But
to me, they're doing that on purpose.
There's somebody.
They're doing that on purpose.
I don't remember who it is, though.
That to me is them doing that on purpose. But you know what I mean? Like, that's just one of those movies where I feel like it's a must-watch every Christmas.
Also, remember Richie Rich?
Richie Rich was good. Do you remember The Good Son, where he did the evil movie, where he was killing Elijah Wood and shit? It was him and Elijah Wood when they were kids.
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh, so this was, I think it was after Home Alone 2, I think, or is in between the Home Alones. He did a movie called The Good Son, where Elijah Wood is also a child in this. And I want to say they're either brothers or stepbrothers, or Macaulay Culkin ends up coming to stay with Elijah. He's like it's his aunt. I don't know. Something happens. But Macaulay Culkin ends up staying with Elijah Wood and his parents. And Macaulay Culkin's like a serial killer. Like, he's like a killer, but he's a kid. Like, he's like crazy. It's called The Good Son. Nuts. Yeah, nuts. But anyway, John Cena comes out. The crowd's giving him thank you, Cena chants. Very much a hero's welcome. Very much a hero's welcome, a hero's return for John. It's so crazy to me.
Sandy, there's a Home Alone 5.
Yeah,
Done a lot of Home
they've already done a
Alones.
Home Alone 3. They did a Home Alone 3 like in the late 90s with not Macaulay Culkin. I think Alex Linz or Alex.
I don't remember.
He was a young child star at the time. He was in Liar Liar. The kid was in Liar Liar. Then he was in Home Alone 3. He had some movies. He might have been even in the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I think it's like Alex Lindsay or Alex Lane.
Alex Linz, you were right.
Alex Linz, yeah. He was also in, he was the son in Liar Liar. He did Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the first movie. I saw that with a relative. I didn't go see that myself. I was like 28.
Hell, he looks so different now.
Yeah, well, yeah. But like, he was in Home Alone 3, which we don't acknowledge. I will tell you this. We acknowledge a lot of things.
He was in Max Keeble's Big Move also.
Oh, that might have been it. That might have been it. Not Diary of a Wimpy Kid. That might have been the one I'm thinking about. That might have been the one that I'm thinking about, Max Keebler. I knew he was in like a kid movie like that. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Liar Liar.
This is such a great show.
Yeah, we went everywhere. I was yelling. We were yelling about Hulk Hogan. We're talking about Home Alone and Liar Liar, underrated Jim Carrey movie. It does not get talked about enough in the upper echelon of Jim Carrey movies. Liar Liar, terrific. Anyway, you know what's funny to me, Drew? Is John Cena's whole preface, like his whole thing of this promo was him saying, "Oh, I heard all you guys talking when I announced this, and you were saying, oh, Cena's going to main event
masterclass." John Cena.
Oh my God! And he's like, "Oh, all you guys were saying, oh, he's going to win 17-time world champion. He's going to main event WrestleMania. We have laundry lists of who we want him to fight, and blah blah blah." And he goes, "People want to know what I'm doing," and he goes, "I don't think any of that's going to happen, man. I don't think any of that's going to happen." And the crowd's like, "Boo." And he's like, "Yeah, I just don't think." He goes, "I'm very much here to just kind of, make my rounds, say thank you to all of you at all the different places I've been in the arena." He's leaning into that type of thing. And he goes, and he meant, I don't think I wrote down the number. Oh yes, 2,446 days. He goes, "That's why."
That was insane. When he said that, I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. He goes, "You know why
that long?"
Yeah. He goes, "You know why I haven't, I don't think this stuff is possible." And he goes, 2,446. And he goes, "That's how many days it's been since I won a match." Which, when you think about that, that's like pre-COVID.
Like that, years or something.
Yeah, that's like pre-COVID, right? That's like 2018, 2019, some shit. Right? 365 times. That's 8 years. Because 3 times 20.
The Firefly Funhouse match with
he lost that though.
And he lost that. That was right in the beginning. That was the WrestleMania, the pandemic WrestleMania, that first.
Yeah.
So
it's got to be like 7 years ago.
What his match was before that one?
I'm doing it by math, obviously. 24. It's got to be like Roman, 7 or 8 years,
Roman,
right?
Greek. So Roman won at SummerSlam 2020.
And Cena lost to Roman along the way. Cena lost to Austin Theory. Yeah, it's got to be 2018, 2019.
Yeah,
that's what it's
20. I was even say 2018.
Yeah, that's what it's got to be, which is nuts. So yeah, he in this, he also mentions California, and he goes, "Hey, look, California has a lot to do with my history." He goes, "I worked at a place right down the street from here. I did this." He goes, "This is where the prototype started. Like prototype John Cena, I got that. I came up with that character out here when I was living in California." He talks about winning his first world title in California. And he's like, "One last time in the city where dreams are made of, I stand before you, I say thank you." He says, "It's all about making moments. There's been a lot of noise, blah, blah, blah." And about who my last match is going to be in December. He mentions the names that he mentioned were Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Logan Paul, Gunther, and Cody Rhodes. So those were names that he mentioned. I would not be shocked if he wrestles those 5 people that he mentioned at some point in this year. I feel like that's why he probably mentioned them.
Right, so we all expected Logan Paul to interrupt.
I thought Logan Paul would. Yeah.
They ended up just doing a video package of him after this.
Yeah, instead. Which I'm okay with. which I'm okay with. I actually thought
okay with that.
First night back, not having anybody interrupt Cena, I thought it was fun. And Cena got me jacked up by the end of this, by the way.
Cena, this was, oh my God. Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then he talks about the 17th world title and he says, I don't think anything's happening. It's been 2,000 something days since I've won. He says, I'm at peace with it. And that's why I'm doing this. My time is up. And he kind of gestures towards the back. He goes, their time is now. He goes, but don't get me wrong. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be a good year.
He goes, his last matches in December.
Yes, it should be at Saturday night's main event, and it should be in Boston. Okay, WWE, Boston. That's where it should be. Just saying. He's from Massachusetts. It should be.
I might have to drive up for that.
Just saying. I'm not doing that because I'm a homer. I'm just doing it because it makes the most sense. His last match should be in December, which is Saturday night main event, and it should be in Boston, his home state. Okay. But he says, as far as the 17th World Championship goes, it's never going to happen. He goes, wait a minute. I forgot where I was. This is the WWE. You never say never. And he goes, but I think I get a better chance. He starts going into things. He goes, it would take a miracle. He goes, I think I have a better chance of winning an Oscar than winning the 17th world title. And then he goes, and we all know, if you follow me, I'm not winning an Oscar anytime soon, which was a funny little thing. And he goes, I can't just waltz into the main event. I got to win like Money in the Bank or Elimination Chamber. And then you can hear the crowd start saying Royal Rumble. You can hear people going, the Rumble. Like I was sitting here doing the watch along with Peggy going, or the Royal Rumble, John. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, John, Royal Rumble. And then he says, or I can win the Royal Rumble. Crowd loses their fucking mind. Goes nuts. And then he goes, let me do some math and decide maybe I can win the Royal Rumble. He goes, I know it's a long shot, but you can't win the lottery if you don't play. He goes, I think I should be in the Royal Rumble. And the crowd goes nuts. And he goes, what better way to say thank you than to enter the Royal Rumble and make history at WrestleMania? And he's going into it. He's being like typical A+ John Cena. He's like, it's impossible, but and he's like just doing the, his shtick. He goes, the only time we say never around here is when we say never give up. And I was like, goddamn, John, you legend. I was like, you legend, John. I'm a 40-year-old man. You're making me feel this way, John. You son of a bitch. Anyway, and he goes, I'm entering the Royal Rumble. He goes, I'm not just going to the Royal Rumble. I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. And the crowd loses its mind. And I'm sitting here thinking, 10 years ago, if he was cutting this promo, this motherfucker would have been getting booed out of the building.
Yeah.
They would have been like, we do not want to see you win
even like
7 years ago.
2016, 17-ish.
Everyone would have been like, nope. We do not need you winning the Rumble. We do not need you beating that record. Absolutely not, John. But now he's back, and everybody in that arena, and all of us, I think, were last night. We were like, yep, you need to win the Royal Rumble. You need to win your 17th title. You were all like, yep, this needs to happen.
I respect the hell out of you. Love you, pal. But listen, the Royal Rumble is happening every single year. Next year, compete with somebody who's never won it before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been saying it for a few months here, Drew. Kind of my fantasy booking mind. John Cena should win the Royal Rumble. He absolutely should. He absolutely should. Now, if you want to, that is true. John, remember that for Rollins, right? And then Rollins was the double champ.
Oh,
the
yeah,
US champ and the world champ because of that, right? That was what? Was that a SummerSlam?
That was, I think, a 2016 SummerSlam.
Or New York, right? Well, I think it was the New York SummerSlam, or it was somewhere around, right?
Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, it was champion versus champion. Rollins was wearing the all white. I remember that, and Stewart hit Cena with the chair. I could see that, Sandy. I could see them going the chamber route to get Cena to Mania. But right now, I mean, I don't know what's going on. I feel like it should be Cena and Gunther, but I feel like it's going to be Cena and Cody. I don't know. But all I know.
Oh no, he didn't. He mentioned Gunther, but he also mentioned Punk and.
Yeah, he mentioned McIntyre, Logan Paul, Gunther, Cody, and Punk. Those were the 5 names that he mentioned.
Yeah.
So I would assume that he's fighting all 5 of those guys at some point in this year. I don't think he wouldn't have mentioned those names if he didn't know that he's going to fight those guys.
Ooh. Oh, I like what Dan Brown.
Yeah, I like Dan too.
As much as I want him to win, and it feels like they're kind of positioning Dom to start being a babyface.
I agree.
That would get some nuclear heat, and I feel like if somebody's going to do that, I wouldn't make it be Dom. I would make it either be Logan Paul or like a young heel that they want to really establish, like Carmelo Hayes. Honestly, if you have, I think I said this last week.
Yeah.
His last match should be against Carmelo Hayes in his hometown. I think that would be like, they're both Bostonites. They're both incredibly good at this.
Yeah.
Carmelo is so incredibly charismatic, so in tune and knows this business. Like, he almost seems like a veteran. Honestly, he gets it. He just gets it.
I agree.
If Melo's kind of like the thorn in his side this year to culminate in that last match in December, where he gets to retire John Cena officially, I think would be a very, very special thing for him.
Yeah.
See that he's already established this like snarky, yappy attitude type of a character. So he's just going to walk up to you and talk shit, even though he's got absolutely nothing to back it up. And you can tell that he knows that he has absolutely nothing to back it up, but he doesn't care. He's just getting right in your face and he's going to talk shit.
Yeah. 100%.
So I think
100%.
that would be like a perfect way to end John Cena's career. And if you started at the Rumble and just have Carmelo be this guy that's just a thorn in his side, he almost won this, he almost wins that, but Melo comes in and he's the guy that just gets him to not win. I think that would be very special to end the year.
I agree. And you know me, I am a big Carmelo Hayes guy. Been a follower of that guy for a long time, long before he was in WWE. Love Carmelo Hayes. I think that would be a very cool spot. That would be something we would have to build towards, because I feel like right now Carmelo Hayes is not worthy of the final match with John Cena. That is not a big enough name for me currently. Now, a year from now, basically, things could be different. And I think that would be very, very cool. But if you're telling me right now, I feel like that is not a big enough draw. Like, if you were going to go the young guy route as being if you're going to go the young guy route as being the last guy that Cena fights, it would be Braun Breaker, right? That Braun Breaker would be the choice over Melo.
Right now, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that would be the choice. If you're going, I personally don't think they should go the young guy route. I think they should do an established guy and have an angle come out of it. I would prefer that. But I could see it going either way. But we have a long time to get there. So we'll see how it plays out. But we do know it's officially starting with John Cena officially in the Royal Rumble. And that's very exciting. We then did get that Logan, Jesus, too many guys like that. We did get, I mean, you might as well you can interchange them together. They're not that far apart. But you get the Logan Paul hype reel, and then Logan Paul was front row. And I thought it was very fitting when they put the camera on him. He looked at his watch and he said, "Oh, my time is now." That's what he said. "Oh, it's my time now. My time is now." Okay. I would not be shocked if Logan Paul eliminates John Cena from the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be.
And then they could both be in the chamber match in Toronto together. And then you can build up to that. I feel like Logan Paul is early on going to be an opponent for Cena. Early. Then we come back from commercial. This is when we see Seth Green, Macaulay Culkin, O'Shea Jackson, and Danielle Fishel. And then they also showed Bianca Belair, Naomi. Yeah, and Wilfredo, son of a B. Then they showed Bianca Belair, Naomi, X-Pac, and Shinsuke Nakamura were kind of the superstars they showed. And then it was time for the WWE Women's World Championship match. Now, this was originally booked as a last women's standing match. And then they just kind of changed it to a regular match. Fine. Don't care. I thought the match was actually very good. You know what? Liv Morgan, man. Deserves her flowers. Deserves her flowers. I feel like she did not. Okay. So this match happened. I thought it was a very, very good match. Raquel and Dom were at ringside with Liv. Rhea was by herself, obviously. This was a very, very good match. A lot of kickouts. Liv Morgan kicked out of the Jesus Christ, what the hell is her move? The Riptide. She kicked out of it earlier on. Rhea Ripley kicked out of 2 Oblivions in this. Rhea does have a great DDT sell. Absolutely, Hoosier. That is a good call. That spinning DDT that Liv gave her, goddamn. Rhea does it so she lands so it looks like she spikes the top of her head every time. Like she just nails it. It's a very good sell. A chair gets involved, kind of like how it happened in SummerSlam, where Liv ended up hitting an Oblivion onto the chair on Rhea, which is how she actually beat Rhea at SummerSlam on the Dom turn. But Rhea kicked out this time. Then Liv hit 3 Amigos in this match, and she hit the frog splash. She did the Eddie shimmy and everything.
Yes, yeah.
Rhea kicked out as well. Then she was going for Oblivion a third time, but Rhea caught her, and she hit her with a Riptide, and then picked her right back up and hit her with a back-to-back Riptides for the 1, 2, 3. And Rhea Ripley, once again, is your WWE Women's World Champion, the first time since she had to give it up right after WrestleMania when she got injured. Post-match, Dominic Mysterio slides in the ring. He's kind of behind Rhea. Rhea turns around and catches him, and Dom kind of puts his arms out for a hug, like, oh shit, like, give me a hug. Rhea kind of kisses the title, sets it down. She opens her arm up like she's going to go hug Dom, and she kicks him right in the penis.
Oh, yeah.
It's right in the penis.
Hard, too.
Yep. And then she gives Dom a Riptide. Rhea celebrates in the ring, and I think this is where myself and a lot of people thought that we might see Becky Lynch. Maybe. But Rhea takes the belt. I agree with Dan. Rhea is a star that's going to be, she's a megastar. She's a megastar. She had to win that title. Look, did.
Oh,
it's
ridiculous. I had somebody come in and quickly move my electric heater to my area because I'm sitting here in stands and I'm fucking cold.
Fair. So she makes her way to the top of the entrance there. She's posing with the belt, and we hear the Undertaker's gong. Are you sure it's a heater under that desk, man? Just a heater?
Yes, I could put the camera down there.
Your reactions look like there might have been something else going on down there.
It feels great. It almost feels like that, I'll be honest with you.
All right. We hear the dong. We hear the Undertaker's gong, and then it goes into the American Badass Undertaker.
I don't like the American Badass stuff.
I didn't mind it for this because with Rhea, it fits more. I think if they were doing the thing with Rhea, I think it fits more with the biker.
No, it fits with Rhea for sure.
Yeah. So Undertaker comes out. He's on his motorcycle. They have the Kid Rock American Badass music going.
And I don't like that either.
And so, I mean, the song is good. He's a piece of crap, but the song is good. So he does his little thing where he circles the ring and he goes up to the ramp, and Rhea is still there. And he gives Rhea a high five, a fist bump. They do the thing where they raise the arm together And then they both do the menacing like corner stare to the camera together. They high five, and that's how this segment goes. So Rhea gets put over, not put over, she's already over, but like Rhea gets the rub from the Undertaker. That's a small heater, dude.
It works very nicely though.
Fair.
I just want the proof that I'm not.
Listen, you don't got to fool me. I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you. And that's how this went off. So they had the Undertaker come out, do a little high for the crowd. He does a little thing with Rhea to kind of give Rhea that, Rhea Ripley is cool with the Undertaker kind of thing. Or the Undertaker vibes with Rhea is more like it. The Undertaker vibes with Rhea, not,
I mean, she was also teaming with bisexual Taker too.
It's true. It's true. And look at, they wore the purple and black. She wears the black she very much, it was a cool moment. I had no problem with it. I thought it was a cool moment. Now, later on, after Raw, there were reports that said that the Becky Lynch return was specifically cut from the show for this Undertaker moment. Now, if that is true, I understand why people would say, hey, I would have preferred Becky coming back than that. I get that completely. I like the moment. Sorry. I'm not the biggest fan of The Undertaker personally, but I thought it was a cool moment. I thought it was awesome for Rhea. Yeah. I had no problem with this at all. I liked it, actually. I liked it a lot. But I understand if those reports are true. I completely understand why people would have preferred seeing Becky make her return than seeing The Undertaker do this with Rhea. I completely get that. I enjoyed this moment. Then we pan. They show enough. They showed they've been doing. Yeah, I agree, Sandy. I do think Becky showing up. Look at if Lyra Valkyria is going to win that IC title next week, and Becky comes back to confront Lyra for the IC title. I have no problem with that either. I think that would be a good spot for Lyra and the new IC title if somebody of the ilk of Becky Lynch comes and says, because Becky put her over in NXT.
Like, oh yeah, they were gonna have Bayley win because it's like an established name with the title and making.
But what if Becky loses to Lyra though? Becky's Becky. Like she doesn't need to. I think Dakota's winning too, Sandy. But like, if Becky Lynch were to come back, let's just say hypothetically, Lyra is the one that wins the title, right? And Becky returns then because Becky put her over in NXT. Lyra beat her for the NXT championship earlier this year or late last year, whenever that happened. Like they clearly are friends. Becky clearly will put her over. She did in NXT. What if they were like, hey, we're going to have Lyra win the title and we want your big return to come back and go after the IC title? Because that would if someone like Becky Lynch is going after the IC title, that automatically makes that IC title mean a lot.
Yeah, true.
And then if Lyra would have beat her, like if Becky was like, yeah, I'll lose. I don't care. I'm Becky Lynch. It's not going to affect me much. Because would it? Not really. You know what I mean? At all. But it would affect Lyra and it would affect that title. I think that's a way that'd be fun. I don't know. I don't think they do that. But Dakota and EO would be good as well. All right. So then they kept on showing the skybox with the current wrestlers kind of partying up there. And they showed this one, and the New Day was just being sulking sourpusses in the corner. Hilarious. I also really like Kofi Kingston's new facial hair with the no mustache, where he just has kind of the beard. Too, yeah. I like it. Yeah. Nice little touch with the change of character. All right. We then go backstage, and we see Adam Pearce chatting it up with Bayley, which tells me that I think Bayley's going to Raw soon. I think she could use a show change. That would be nice. And Adam Pearce is getting interviewed. And out of nowhere, Chad Gable rolls up with American Made. He talks himself up. He says he single-handedly destroyed Otis and Alpha Academy. He pledges that he's going to win a singles title in 2025. And he says, any rumors that I have trouble with luchadors, that is nonsense. And he goes, Adam, I want you to get your best luchador for me. And next week, I'm going to take care of business. Well, Adam Pearce says, you sure about that? He goes, I've never been. And then Chad Gable goes, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. And Adam Pearce excuses himself to go make a phone call. So I think I think as wrestling fans, obviously we've been worked before, but I think we can say that next week, that is the Penta spot. It's going to be Penta debuting one-on-one with Chad Gable, which I think is a perfect first opponent for Penta because Chad Gable is an excellent wrestler. And I think Penta will be able to have a real good first match with Chad Gable, and Chad Gable is going to make Penta look like a friggin' star. Because he is. But he's going to make him look like that immediately. I do think Penta should turn heel sooner than later, but I still think they're going to do Penta and Rey versus the New Day. I still think they're going to get to that. I think that's probably a Rumble match or maybe a Saturday night's main event match. I could see. I think that match is happening. That'd be hilarious. I think that's happening somewhere. So that's what happened. We then got back from commercial. We saw some more celebrities. They showed some Netflix bigwigs. They showed Bill Simmons, Vanessa Hudgens was there. Michelle McCool, Damage Control, Lyra Valkyria were all the wrestlers there. And then we had this Jey Uso entrance with Travis Scott ripping a blunt. God, I love Netflix. Love Netflix, Drew. Drew, I love Netflix. Travis Scott, there were children right next to him. He's just smoking weed. He don't care. Let me tell you. First of all, I'm reading I have my notes, but I have a Raw recap up next to me, so they match. And whoever wrote this Raw recap said that he was smoking a cigarette. Everyone knows cigarettes aren't cool. I don't think they are. But he's ripping a blunt. It was fantastic. I wanted Jey Uso to take a hit of that shit. I was like, Jey, you better take a hit of that before you get in that ring. That's what I wanted, but he didn't. He should have. What are they going to do? Kick him out of the match? Well, what are they going to do? Fine him? Who cares? But Travis Scott walking down the whole, the steps to the ring during the Jey Uso entrance. This entrance is always badass, but it was very cool. They had the lights of the arena kind of synced up. It was very, very good.
That is
very, very good.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was very, very good. But it was very. I love seeing Travis Scott just ripping weed the whole way down. It was hilarious. And then we were on 100% Inferno. 100%. I was like, God damn, dude. That was incredible. Then we got this Drew McIntyre versus main event Jey Uso match. I saw a lot of people talking crap about this match. I did not dislike this match as much as other. I thought this was fun.
It was great.
Yeah, I thought this match was very good. I saw a ton of people. All right, Sandy, we'll see you soon, my friend. I saw a ton of people on social media saying that they thought I love Indian food, delicious. Butter chicken, man. Butter chicken. And that you got to get the garlic naan. Anyway, I saw a lot of people on the interweb saying that they thought this match was kind of mid or not great, and I was like, I did not feel that way.
I don't agree
at all. I thought this match was good. I would have preferred if Drew won, but
no, I'm actually okay with how this happened.
Oh, I'm okay with it. I'm not upset that Jey won. I do think it keeps Drew fresh because Drew's kind of run through everybody, and now you have Jey kind of, he said he was going to run through Sammy, handled Jimmy. Now it's Jey. Change it up a little bit, have Jey beat him, so it's a little bit longer of a thing, so he's not just running through Jey. I understand. So I'm okay with it. What do you think? You run this back at the Rumble? Or Saturday night's main event, maybe? I assume both these guys will be in the Rumble. Oh, they should be.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe you run this back at Saturday night's main event? Yeah. You could have this be one of the big 5 matches on Saturday night's main event, and then maybe Drew gets his win back there, or maybe Jey's the guy that just continually gets the best of Drew until Drew finally gets, I don't know. But Jey Uso won with an inside cradle. He rolled him up. Fernando, I think Roman and the Bloodline are moving. I think Roman's moving to Raw, dude. I think Roman's on Raw from here on out. After his match, they announced that he's going to be on Raw on January 27th, which is 2 days after the Monday, the go-home show to the Rumble. They're going to do some WWE 2K25 stuff. I think Roman's going to be the cover athlete, if they already haven't announced that. I think Roman's the cover athlete for 2K25. They did a little backstage thing with him and Paul Heyman where they closed the door and the WWE 2K25 logo was on the door. And then Roman announced he's coming back in a few weeks. So I think it'll have to do with that. But I would not be shocked if Roman makes his way over to Raw permanently and then Solo and the other bloodlines stay over on SmackDown and kind of do their own thing over there. I think that's kind of how they go. I would think that Drew McIntyre will be making a move to SmackDown soon. I don't think he stays on Raw. So I think once he's done with Jay here, I think he leaves. I think he goes to SmackDown. And he kind of hangs over there. There's going to be some shuffling of things, I think. We obviously saw Bayley. I think Bayley's heading to Raw. I know we're really focused on this Raw on Netflix, but on SmackDown, we did see Tiffany Stratton finally cash in the Money in the Bank. Great. First of all, that match with Nia and Naomi fucking ruled. That match was so good. Naomi went off in that match. She had, hello, boss.
Spenny.
Just got here now. You should, brother, go back. Not now, but you can see.
Oh boy, you missed a good.
You missed a Hulk Hogan rant by me that yeah, probably should be clipped.
Boy,
yeah,
we weren't even at the Hulk Hogan segment.
No, we weren't. We weren't. But some guy in the comments decided that he was going to make it about himself, so I had to take matters into my own hands. But on SmackDown, Tiffany, so Nia and Naomi had a banger of a match on SmackDown. Go back and watch it. Dude, they were both great in that match, but Naomi, man, dude, she went off. Like that was a match and a half for Naomi. I was like, what the hell is going on with that? Like, I know she's that good, but like, holy moly, man. But Candice LeRae and Tiffany Stratton helped Nia retain the championship. It's up there, Fernando. I think Nia, ever since she's come back, Nia's been an MVP, dude. Nia's been incredible. I know people still shit on her for the stuff that happened way back. She's not, doesn't even compare. She has
gotten much better.
It does not even compare to her first run, what she is doing now. She has been excellent since her comeback. But Tiffany Stratton, after the match, after helping Nia retain, because Nia was going to lose that match.
Yeah, they did it really cool there. She came down and made it look like she was about to cash in right then and there.
Yep.
But then she made sure that Naomi lost, then cashed in.
Yep. And it was a great moment. She cashed in. She hit the world's prettiest moonsault. 1, 2, 3. Tiffany Stratton. It's officially Tiffy time. She is the new WWE Women's World. No, what do they call it over there? Just WWE Women's Champion. The Raw is the world, right? So she's that, which makes me think on the SmackDown side of things, we are going to be getting a Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair WrestleMania program for that title. That would be my guess over there. I think the Nia thing probably happens at Rumble, maybe Chamber, but I think Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for that title. Charlotte could win the Rumble. She could. And she challenges Tiffy. I think that's the play. However, Tiffany needs to win that match at Mania, but we'll get there when we get there. But I think that's going to happen. There's just big stuff happening all over the place, Drew. There's just big stuff happening all over the place, Drew. But I do think there's going to be some shuffling of rosters. I think some people that have been on SmackDown for a long time are going to be moving over, and vice versa. We then got, you know what? One of the things, you know what was one of the things I was very critical about on this show, Drew, that I did not like, is how do you not have your world champion Gunther on the show? I know they had a vignette, and it was a great vignette.
It was one of them. Listen, the John Cena promo and this video package were some of my best things. Like, honestly, I'd like my favorite things on the show. Like,
I loved it.
Like, I'm actually totally fine with him being presented like this instead of being in the ring.
he's the world champion of the brand. Like, he should have been focused on he should have had more of a focus on the show, personally. With that being said, this video package was one of the better video packages that WWE has produced in a bit, and they're always great at these. But this was great. I loved the black and white, but the gold of the belt was the color. I loved that look. I loved everything he said. I loved
timeless Gunther.
Yeah, like I loved how they showed him lifting weights. Like, I loved everything about it. I loved this video hype reel, this video segment. I just feel like Gunther should have been more of a focus on this show. He is the world champion of the show. But it was with that being said, it was a very, very good montage. We then had a backstage segment with New Day and Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy, in which, New Day still complaining about not getting a chance to explain, what happened between them and Big E. He's like, we're the ones that should be getting interviewed, not this fluffy buffoon, because he was getting interviewed. And Iglesias says that I like them better when they had cereal. He goes, I liked you better when you had cereal. What's this? That was funny. That was a good line. Then the interviewer, Kathy Kelly, goes, we're out of time, guys. We're out of time. And American Alpha rolls up. They're kind of being buddy-buddy with Fluffy. And he goes, all right, let's go to our seats. And before Fluffy leaves, he goes, hey, guess what? New Day sucks. And he starts a New Day sucks chant, and New Day looks all angry and good stuff. All right. We then got our last thing of celebrities. They showed, wrestler-wise, they showed Braun Breaker, Tiffany Stratton, Nikki Bella. It was good to see Nikki Bella. Bella.
Yeah, it was.
So they showed Braun, our new champion, Tiffany Stratton, why didn't Tiffany have the belt? Anyway, and Nikki Bella. But still, come on. Braun didn't have his IC belt.
Cody didn't have his title either.
Yeah, very bizarre. I don't get it. Anyway, all right, so again, I already said my piece.
We do not have to do this. Let's just move on.
We're just going to go over. This was the Hulk Hogan segment. I don't even know what Hulk Hogan said. I'm being honest with you. I don't even know what he said, because all I could focus on was the crowd being booed. Not the crowd being booed. The crowd booing this man out of the building. Do you understand how much WWE, you bring Hulk Hogan out there on January 6th waving an American flag?
The real American beer.
Do you understand how much you misread the fucking room that arena let you know. That arena let you know. But do you understand? I don't care. Like, that is such a misjudgment by the upper brass of WWE and TKO. I mean, Hulk Hogan thought he showed up at the wrong rally, dude. Showed up at the wrong rally. He walked in there. He was like, oh, this wasn't where. What? Oh, I wasn't supposed to be here. Do you know how badly of a misread and judgment call that was? I knew it the second I woke up and read that news. I was like, that's a waste of fucking time. That's a waste of fucking time. And we already talked about it. You can go back and look. I'm sure that might get clipped out, maybe. But like, you can go hear my opinions of Hogan. No, it'll get clipped and maybe put out. Okay. I'm not good at making clips, so it won't be me that does it. But if it does, it would be that.
Pluggo, are you still here?
I know. I need to get better at it. That's one thing.
Did you get a YouTube short of that?
Literally, I went off. But anyway, it is what it is. That segment happened. He got booed out of the building. Hopefully, that was a wake-up call to people in WWE to let them know that Hulk Hogan is no longer needed in 2025. We all knew, Fernando. We all knew. The second they said he was going to be on the show, I knew it wasn't going to go well. I actually thought the crowd outperformed what I thought. Yeah, I thought the crowd outperformed what I thought they were going to do. I thought it would be like a smattering of boos, but they were like, no, we're letting everybody know we're done with this guy.
Yeah. So earlier in the day, he had come there. I don't know where I saw this image. I don't know if it was a video or something from somewhere, maybe like Instagram Live or something. I don't know. But he came off of a plane wearing a shirt that said MAGA powers on it with Trump, Vance, Hogan. And I had a slight thought maybe he would be. I was like, they wouldn't make him go on TV like that, right?
Of course not. They would never. They
you
would
know,
never.
the snowflakes online, let me have it. I got that was a popular tweet of mine yesterday.
Yeah.
Snowflakes. And I was just like, no, that's not gonna happen, right? But thankfully it didn't.
No.
As much as listen, you can have your political beliefs, like we've talked about Taker and the McMahons, whomever.
This is not about that.
Um,
It's not about political
political
things with Hogan. The dude,
with him specifically, it's not political.
No, and we when we talked about it when I went on my rant. This is not a political thing when it comes to Hulk Hogan. The Undertaker is just as political for the same guy,
if not more.
If not more. He had him on his fucking podcast, did an interview with the guy. And I get it. Hogan showed up at the convention. I get it. The Undertaker is as political towards the same human being that Hulk Hogan is political. Did the Undertaker get booed out of the building last night? Last time I checked? No, I believe 20 minutes ago, you and I were saying we loved that segment with the Undertaker. Did we not? Okay.
Correct.
Has nothing to do with politics whatsoever. It has to do with there is audio footage on multiple occasions of Hulk Hogan being a noted racist. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out. You are not necessary to WWE in 2025. Okay? Look at. There are a lot of conversations.
Couldn't even walk.
There are a lot of conversations we can have about Hulk Hogan. All right? You can debate a lot of things about Hulk Hogan. There are two things you cannot debate. One, whether you love him, like him, hate him, despise him, the dude's a legend. Okay? Without his contributions, WWE is not on Netflix last night. That is understood. I understand his contributions. I even respect his contributions to the business. Without him, we are not where we are right now. You and I are not talking. Yeah, and even the WWE, Red and WWE in the none of this is. We are not at this level without this. I get it. You cannot debate that. You cannot debate his legend stat. You cannot. But the other thing you can't debate, because there's literally footage of it, is he's a racist. Period. End of story. Okay? And the second thing makes your first thing not fucking matter. Not matter. To me. I know there are people that still like him. I know there are people that still want to see him. Fine. You are allowed your opinion on that. Fine. I'm not arguing your opinion. I grew up in the early 90s watching wrestling. Hogan was an essential part of my early wrestling career as a fan. But my early wrestling fandom. He was a major part of it. He was still the top guy in WWE when I started watching wrestling. And then the NWO happened, and he was arguably the top guy in wrestling. Still. Yes, exactly. And Fernando, that's what he is. He's up there in that realm, but it's over, dude. It's over. You're a bad person. We don't need you here anymore. You are irrelevant to what is happening in today's product. The majority of like I said earlier when I was yelling, the majority of the people in that building last night, Hulk Hogan means nothing to them. Because half of those people weren't even fucking alive when Hogan was in WWE doing his shit. The 2021, 2022 boom of wrestling that happened, that led us to where we are, where we're about to probably have the biggest year in wrestling ever as fans and as a whatever. Hogan had nothing to do with it. Hogan had nothing to do with it. He is not necessary. He is not needed. Dan, I think that's more right. Yeah, people still speak highly of Babe Ruth. Nobody speaks highly of Hulk Hogan because there's no reason to. It's just it's not right now is a time that we should be focused on Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, Triple H, The Rock, The Undertaker, those level of stars, those guys, the 90s and the 2000s. We're having Cena's last year. Obviously, Edge works for another company now, so he's a bad example. But like those level of stars are the stars that should be coming back for the one-offs, the whatever. Those guys, not fucking Ric Flair, not fucking Hulk Hogan. All right? You guys are two of the greats. Fine. That's you're never gonna stop being two of the greats. But your old hat, get the fuck out. We don't need you anymore. There's no need for you in 2025 wrestling spaces. Period. End of story. And the guys that are running these shows need to fucking, hopefully last night was a wake-up call. They need to understand that too. Because the same thing happened with Flair on Dynamite. They brought his old ass out there for that energy drink bullshit. And he was getting booed, just like Hogan was getting booed last night. And AEW said, maybe we don't have Flair anymore. We just kind of show the logo. And that's what they do. And hopefully last night was WWE realizing, okay. My concern is Hulk Hogan seems to be the main guy they're promoting as like the legend for Saturday night's main event in a couple weeks. Which I would think last night maybe has some people talking, maybe we should go a different route. It's in San Antonio, Texas. You can't call Sean to come work on a Saturday. He's from there. Have him come out and do his little dance and entrance. You can't call Stone Cold Steve Austin in Texas. Hey, can you come show up at Saturday night's main event? Spencer, I'm right there with you. I thought Ventura knocked it out of the park. I would bring him back every time. What's the point of getting away from him? If he's available, just bring Ventura back.
He's supposed to be at every Saturday night.
If Hogan's there, Ventura will not be there.
Well, no.
He will not be there. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, this was the Hulk Hogan segment. You can get our full opinion, but hopefully that was the last time we see him. Hopefully that was the last time we see him.
Hopefully you didn't just come here for a Hulk Hogan segment.
No.
Care about the rest of the show.
Yeah. But then we got to our main event, and goddamn, Drew, what a fucking match this was here. Oh, I love this match. This was my favorite match of the night. I thought it was very, very good. We had finally, it was CM Punk one-on-one with Seth freaking Rollins. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I actually thought Seth Rollins was going to win this one, Drew.
I did have that prediction as well. Yeah.
I thought this match kicked all sorts of ass. They each did each other's finishing moves to each other. Seth hit CM Punk with 2 go-to-sleeps. And CM Punk hit Seth with a curb stomp in this match. CM Punk was wearing the Triple X old Ring of Honor jacket that he wore on AEW a few times. I'll tell you what I did like. The camera shot of CM Punk when he does the turnaround and walks backwards. They had that camera looking down at him from above, and he was looking right at awesome. Fucking loved it. Loved it. The new announce table, that new announce table was high tech.
Beautiful.
Yeah, holy crap. I don't think they're ever going to be able to break that. I think that's like an unbreakable table. Liv Morgan took a power bomb and a half by Rhea Ripley on that table.
Yeah.
And it did not budge. It did not budge. And I know Liv's a little person, but it did not budge at all.
Well, in this match, too, there was a
pedigree. Yeah. So this match was truly, truly excellent. At one point, like you just mentioned, Seth Rollins gave a pedigree to CM Punk on top of the announce table. Then he brought him in the ring and hit a regular pedigree in the ring, to which Punk kicked out. The finishing segment to this match was really, really good. We had Seth had Punk up on the the corner and he was going for his superplex into the Falcon Arrow. He hit the superplex, and then when he rolled him up into the Falcon Arrow, Punk countered it into a go to sleep. And then Seth Rollins' body bounced off the ropes and kind of fell back onto CM Punk, which there were very good people on social media who showed in 2022, Punk and Moxley, I almost called him Ambrose, Moxley and AEW, they did the same type of thing where Punk hit a GTS, Moxley went into the ropes and landed on top of Punk, just like Rollins did last night, into a second GTS, and Punk gets the 1, 2, 3. Rollins was also bleeding around the cheek area. It looked like he might have got maybe one of those knees hit him flush. Excellent ending sequence. Punk gets the win, and the show goes off the air with Rollins kind of coming to in the middle of the ring and Punk getting his hand raised to end the show. CM Punk did cut what I think was the best CM Punk promo he's cut since being back after the show on the YouTube post show. I don't know if you saw this, Drew.
I did not.
You go back and watch it because this was the best CM
I saw
Punk.
Not the whole thing.
So he was, Jackie Redmond is out there. Punk, I mean, that's going to be natural. Seth is way younger, way healthier. So it did look like Punk was, it also looked like, at least reports said, I don't know if they were selling it, but reports said that Punk couldn't put any weight on his knee either. Like he had to get help to the back by refs. So hopefully that's just a selling job.
Wasn't he?
He was standing and walking, but he was in the promo. You could tell he was in the promo, but he was limping. And even Jackie Redmond in the promo was like, you're pretty beat up. Like you're probably going to need a ref to like help you up. And Punk was even kind of like, but he was just in it though. But he said
towards the end, at the end, after the match was over, both of them were communicating with the referee. So
I think Punk, So hopefully it's just selling and everything's great, but Punk was very, very limping very badly. And according to people in the arena, he had to be helped to the back by the ref and couldn't put any weight on his knee, on one of his legs, one of his knees. Again, hopefully that's just, it's nothing too serious, but, unfortunately, when it comes to CM Punk, he's been injury prone here the last 3 or 4 years. So you would hope it's obviously nothing serious. But if you haven't seen the promo by Punk on the post show, go see it. He's saying, he's the best in the world. He's saying that, everybody, he swore, he said, anybody that thinks that I'm not shit, look at me now. He goes, this was the biggest night of my career. He goes, I dedicate this to Chad Gilbert, who is the lead guitarist for Newfound Glory, who's fighting cancer. He dedicated it to Chris Bay. He mentioned Chris Bay. He gave Chris Bay a shout out. And then he said, and I did this for me. And he said, I'm the best in the world. It just felt like a very old school CM. It felt like the most old school CM Punk promo he's cut. So it wasn't cookie cutter.
Right,
how great is it here to be on a Monday? Right. He swore, it felt like CM Punk.
Because it wasn't on TV. That's why it felt like that.
Yeah. But that was the end of the show. CM Punk standing tall as we go off the show. And now we know we have a couple things scheduled for next week, which is the real, I would say, obviously last night was the debut of Raw on Netflix, but I feel like next week is the episode where Raw really starts on Netflix. We're going to get back to the normal vibe. Vanessa Hudgens was
We did
mention
her, yeah.
Yes. She was mentioned. I loved her shirt. What'd she say? Hot girls will love wrestling, or hot girls like wrestling? I don't know. It was a good shirt. It was a good shirt. She showed off the shirt. She had a nice jacket. Yeah, she was excellent. But all in all, I would say a rousing debut, a very successful debut. I thought it was a solid show. Would I have loved to have seen Penta and Becky Lynch on this show? Absolutely. But I don't think not seeing them hampered the show at all. I don't think that made the show any worse. I thought it was a good really good to to great episode of Raw. I thought it was a great debut. I'd give it a little bit higher than a 7 out of 10, Sandy. I'd go probably 8 for me. 8. But I thought overall, I thought it was good. I thought there was one segment that wasn't needed, but it actually turned out to be kind of a comical thing that I think turned out to be needed, hopefully, for certain people in the back to understand what the fuck is happening in 2025. But other than that, Drew, I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I thought it was a good debut.
I'd say 8 out of 10 would be a perfect grade for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously now we are rearing towards the Royal Rumble. Yeah, man. I feel, listen, I feel really good. Really, really good about where WWE is going. I can't help but think that that this is going to be the biggest year in the history of the company. And I think it all kind of started last night. You could just tell by the presentation, the spectacle of it. Things are going to be different now that they're on Netflix. I think truly things are going to be different now. And I think it's just going to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
I wish they had this building traveling with them too.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. And it will take that side of it will be a little bit of a dampening next week, because not every arena is built like that. That is a state-of-the-art, brand new, an arena that uses technology unlike that's like to me, that building is the new, it's the first of the new way arenas are going to be built. Like, he set the tone. Steve Ballmer set the tone for how our new arenas and new buildings are going to be built moving forward, using technology, using light shows, boards, things like that. I think
that gigantic circle screen.
Yes. Have you seen it? Have you seen it when it's a basketball arena? Have you seen clips or anything?
No, I've never seen it before.
You can probably go on YouTube or Google it. If you Google it and just see how it's used, even if it's a minute clip for the basketball games, the team is not great, but it's crazy. This light, yeah. Although I will say, at first, the lights in the seats, to me, it made it feel like the arena looked empty. At first. When they had the lights down during the matches and all you could see were the red lights going up the rows, to me, I was like, oh, it kind of looks like there are empty seats, because you can see all the light. That's the vibe that I got. When you got further up and you couldn't see the people because it was black, the arena was black with all those lights. I was like, I'm kind of getting I'm not getting the vibe, because that crowd was awesome and loud last night. That was a great crowd. But a couple of the visuals, when they showed it quick to me, I was like, that section looks like it's empty because of those lights. Because all I see is black and red lights. But it's a very cool arena. Those were one of the things where I thought, they really didn't, I think it would have been tough to find a way for them to get onto the show. They did with a couple of the interviews. They showed the symbol of the Wyatts and things like that. But that entrance would have been really cool to see last night, especially for the new eyes on the Netflix stuff too. That would have been another spectacle entrance where people would have been like, what the fuck are these guys? What is this?
Well, see, now that's the other thing that I was saying about utilizing that specific high-tech building coinciding with it being the debut on Netflix.
Yeah.
Imagine what Penta's entrance would have looked like in that building.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And Becky's return and all of those things. Yeah, I get you can't have everything on the show, because then it's going to be a 4-hour show.
Yeah. And I do think keeping some stuff standalone for next week and making that important is necessary. You don't want to have everything on this show so you have nothing to look forward to next week. Because like we talked about at the beginning, there were some new eyes that you would hope last night at least got them to say, hey, I'm going to check out Penta's debuting next week, Fernando. He's fighting Chad Gable. He's fighting Chad Gable on Raw next week. So I understand why certain things were pushed to next week, because you want to have some things to promote for next week. And if you do everything on this show, then I think it's good that they have a couple major things that they know are in the can they can promote, because I do think they had new eyes on them last night. And I feel like an episode of Raw like we got last night will have some of those new eyes going, all right, well, next week at 8:00, I'm going to tune in and at least check it out again. And I think if you got those people, now this is where you go, okay, you're tuning in to check this out. Well, guess what? Right at the beginning of the show next week, we're having our finals for the new Women's IC champion, and we're going to crown a new champion right in front of you. Between these two up-and-comers, Dakota Kai and Lyra Valkyria, they're part of the future. That happens at the beginning of the show. Lyra wins, and then Becky Lynch comes out, and the crowd goes fucking apeshit for Becky Lynch, and you're a new eye, and you go, who the hell? If you don't know who Becky Lynch is, who is this? She seems like she matters. I need to pay attention, and I think that's how.
I hope the crowd next week is as good as this one was too.
They're in California again. They're in San Jose. So again, San Jose isn't, usually known as the loudest of crowds, but they're in California. Bailey in her hometown. I think she'll be there. I'm going to be honest with you, Drew. Obviously, last night was more of a spectacle. They're not going to have the legends there every week or anything like that, but I wouldn't be shocked if they're trying to knock. Like, I would assume that next week's Netflix, I mean, they should be doing it every week, but I would be shocked. Like, next week's Netflix, they have to have a strong emphasis on and be like, okay, this is the second show, which is going to be more like a regular episode of Raw moving forward. We need to knock this motherfucker out of the park as well, because all those new eyes that might have given us an extra week, we need to make sure that they continue to give us an extra week until we buy them in. And I think this is where you can get all the legends and all the bells and whistles out and have a good show like you did last night. Now I think the real work starts for like the WWE creative and Triple H. And now I think the real work starts, because now you need to do your normal stuff and get those new people to want to invest in your product every week. And now you're not going to have the Undertaker there every week. You're not going to have The Rock there every week. You're not going to have these celebrities in the front row every week and all this stuff. So now I think it's really where they got to lean in and go, we need to tell some damn good stories and have some damn good wrestling matches and like make these people want to stick around. They're building to Rumble and Mania. It's their busiest and biggest time of the year. Now the work starts. You've been building to last night for fucking a year. Like 6 months to a year, I felt like that shit we've been hearing about Netflix. You've been building to it. It happened. You did the thing. It was a success. It was a huge-ass show. Now you got to really do the thing. That's how I feel. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
No, you agree?
I agree with you.
There we go. There we go. Maybe. I doubt that. The CW, maybe. The Rock is appearing on NXT, though, so I do expect a jump. Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. Sandy's telling everybody about a VPN. As you can see under my name, NordVPN. Now, I'm in America. Drew, you are in America. I pay for the highest tier of Netflix. Drew, I know, steals it from somebody. But I pay for the highest tier of Netflix, and I got commercials last night on Raw. Which is fine.
Get commercial on Raw.
100%. However, I was doing my watch along on my channel every Monday night at 7:45, every Tuesday night at 7:45, every Friday night at 7:45. We do watch alongs on JPJ Loves Gaming for all the WWE programs. You guys should be there watching with me. If you are not, what the fuck are you doing with your life? So what the hell was I saying before that? We were talking about Travis Scott earlier. This is a perfect example of why you shouldn't smoke so much weed, because I literally forgot about what I was saying as I was about to say it.
I don't smoke weed, and I forget very often.
I literally forgot about what I was going to say as I was saying.
Thing under your name.
Yes. So, jeez Louise. Well, Fernando, I might have, Sandy, I understand. In Europe, I understand. VPN. So I was watching with Peggy last night, who is from Canada. And they had the international feed, and Peggy didn't have commercials last night.
Yeah.
So during
get fucked.
So anyway, during the commercials that you and I saw, Drew, and how a lot of people in the chat, Peggy was getting promos by the New Day shitting on Kendrick Lamar. and talking about Drake and Kendrick Lamar. She was getting promos by Drew McIntyre talking shit. She got video packages. She got staying with the matches. The Punk and Rollins match, when they went to commercial 2 times for us, she was still watching the match. Yeah. So if you want to do that, all you have to do is go to our buddies NordVPN and you sign up for a VPN. You can change your virtual location. You can change it to Germany. They still have the WWE network over there. Here comes Lou right at the end of the show. He knows. It's like fucking clockwork. Going to come right up here and knock my mic out. That's what he's going to do. That's what he's going to do. But if you get NordVPN, you can change your virtual location. You can say you're in Canada. You can say you're anywhere across the world, and you will not get. And first of all, not only will everything be on Netflix, because everything is on Netflix for them. Raw was on Netflix last night. NXT is on Netflix tonight. SmackDown is on Netflix. All the everything is on Netflix. So not only will WWE be all in one place for you, you won't have to deal with commercials. And you can do that. I can't tell you how to get around it, but I can tell you an easier way. And it's an easier way that'll be cheaper. If you want to cut cords on cable, because everything's streaming, it costs cheaper. If you go to NordVPN and you sign up for a 2-year deal, it costs cheaper than 1 month of cable. 2 years of NordVPN. 2 years. We do not have a discount code, Sandy. I wish we did, but we don't. But if you go to NordVPN.com, tell them Love Wrestling sent you. 2 years of signing up for NordVPN is cheaper than it is for most 1 month cable bills in the United States of America. And not only on the WWE side of things, you can change your location. It's like a cheat code. I don't know how it's allowed, but it's like a magical cheat code. You can change your location so you have everything right there for you. No commercials. If you do watch AEW like Drew and I do, we watch both. You can also change your virtual location, and those $50 pay-per-views cost $10 somewhere. $13, $15. Way less than 50.
That's nice.
Way less than 50. So I'm telling you guys, I don't have the answers. I can't tell you what to do, but I'll tell you, NordVPN, it's like having a cheat code. It's like having a cheat code. But anyway, excellent episode of Monday Night Raw. We are on to a new era, the Netflix era in WWE, and we're heading into the best time of year. The Royal Rumble is my favorite event of the year. Then we're getting to Mania time. This is really the prime time of WWE and all their fun stuff. We're going to get out of here. We will be back Thursday morning at 10 a.m. talking some AEW right here. Same time, same channel. Bonkers, we talked about that a little bit earlier. I think so, although I said it earlier. I'm not going to bet on it because I'm not that confident, but I think there's a good chance Eddie Thorpe is leaving tonight with the NXT Heavyweight Championship. I think that can totally happen. I really do. But Drew, tell the people where they can find you. Do the damn thing, and we'll get out of here.
You can find me at the Drew Nicholas on Twitter, Drew Nicholas on Blue Sky, Super Chat and Humper Chat collection over at AEW, the Fightful AEW Collision post show every Saturday with Request and Iridian, and Roundtable Pro Wrestling podcast with Thorn in My Side, Sunday Sinner, who was here earlier today. And follow Firmly LW on Twitter as well, which we will be more active on. And we have an interesting thing will be coming up soon in the coming week. You could watch for us being shouted out in a particular location. That
I was like, where's he going
really
with this?
cool.
And then I was like, oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So we'll be informing you all on that very soon when we get the confirmation on that.
Yep. So be on the lookout there. You can find me at JPJ Loves Gaming on all social media platforms, including YouTube and Twitch, where we play some games and have some fun over there. Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, 10 a.m. right here with this guy. Firmly Love Wrestling. You know, you're here on a Tuesday. We talk WWE on Tuesdays. We talk AEW on Thursdays. And then Thursday nights, 8 p.m., the flagship show here at Love Wrestling. It's me. It's Pluggo. It is Between Two Beards. Make sure you are following Love Wrestling CA on all social media platforms. Make sure you're following everybody at Love Wrestling. We got the brunch gimmick every Sunday. We got Blowing Off Stream that's making its return sporadically where we play video games and have a fun time. We got a whole boatload of more interviews that'll be coming out throughout the year. Can't tell you too much on that stuff, but we got good shit almost every day with great quality people happening on this site. And much like WWE in 2025, Love Wrestling is also going to be bigger and better than ever in 2025. So make sure you're following us. Make sure you're following me and Drew. Make sure you're following everybody. Everybody in the chat, thank you again for today. You guys are great. Between Two Beards is going to the Rumble, Sandy. We will be at the Rumble. So that is fun. But yeah, thanks for joining. Appreciate everybody. Even the dickhead that made me go on an all-time rant. I appreciate your stupid-ass comment. So I was able to do that rant. But on that note, we appreciate you, Sandy, Bonkers, Dan,
there's one
Dare Amazing, Fernando,
Wait,
Scott.
You know what? Never mind.
No, you say it. No, we do it. We got time.
No, because it's going to... Well, it's okay. So,
is it going to devolve into like a 20-minute conversation? Is that what,
no, you know what? We'll save it for Thursday.
Okay. So now that's what we call a tease. What we call a tease in the biz right there. So now we have something that I don't even know what it is. We're going to talk about on Thursday besides AEW or maybe in line with it. But either way, Drew and I are getting out of here. Everyone enjoy your Tuesday. I'll see you on my channel, JPJ Loves Gaming, tonight, 7:45. Me and our pal Peggy, NXT Watch Along, New Year's Evil, 2 championship matches. The Rock is going to be there. Come join and watch. If it's not 3 a.m, like where it will be with Sandy, come join and watch. It should be fun if you watch NXT. We're going to be doing that on my channel tonight. So come have some fun, huh? Other than that, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And y'all know the drill by now. Peace out.